Hey there, welcome back to my desk, and today we are taking a look at Nintendo Power. Well, not the magazine, but this. This is the Nintendo Power SF memory cassette for the Super Famicom. Now, I did recently only just get a complete in-box copy of these because these are not super common to find in Hong Kong. They're not extremely rare, but it's very uncommon to see one of these in complete in-box, decent condition. Also, shoutouts to Super Famicom boxes, having the colors on 4 sides of the box is very neat. But for those who are not knowledgeable, this was a service launched by Nintendo exclusively in Japan in 1996. So yeah, quite late in the Super Famicom's lifespan. Basically, the N64 was already out. So this was basically a way for customers to get a rewritable SNES cartridge, or Super Famicom cartridge, which they can use to, go into a convenience store. They can go to one of those kiosks and then just rewrite games onto it for cheaper than, just buying a standard cartridge. So sort of like the Famicom Disk Writer for the Famicom Disk System, only this time you have a reprogrammable cartridge that you can just, write games into whenever you want. And there was also a Game Boy version of this release, though I do not have it on me right now. I've only recently found this one. I did see some Game Boy, Nintendo Power cartridges on sale a while ago, but I never got them, so maybe someday. Also, apologies if I, don't mention a lot of details about this thing, because of course, like I said, I just got my hands on this thing. But maybe sometime in the future, when I, know more about the details of how this thing works, I could, make a Things of Interest video on it or something, but we'll get to that when we get there. But anyway, this here is a blank cart. This is very much one of the blank cartridges that you buy at a store, and then you can use that and then go to a kiosk and then write games onto it. But there were instances of games that were already pre-installed on the cartridge. In that case, you would have a little label out there that covers this little piece of text that would normally say, I'm guessing it says that this cartridge is a blank cartridge. You got to write a game in there to make this work. But yeah, sometimes these came with pre-installed games, because there were some games that were indeed exclusive to the memory cassette itself. So they never got a physical release. Now, there are some games that came out on Nintendo Power first, and then later they got a physical re-release. There were also some games that got a Satellaview release first, and then a Nintendo Power release, and then finally got a physical re-release. So it's a little bit complicated. Even some other games, I hit the camera. Some other games even got a Virtual Console re-release down the line, being their first time available outside of this exclusive service. So that's really cool. But in general, here are a list of games that, as far as I know, according to the internet, they were only available exclusively on Nintendo Power and never got a physical re-release of any kind. Yeah, as you can see, quite a few games that were released right at the literally tippy top end of the Super Famicom lifespan. The last ever Super Famicom game release was Metal Slayer Glory Director's Cut, that was released in the 2000s. So there was the final Super Famicom game released only on this exclusive service in the year 2000. So that's something for you to think about. And the kiosk service themselves were discontinued in 2007, so Nintendo really does keeping their legacy services running for as long as possible back then. Now, as for whether or not you can rewrite these cartridges nowadays, there are ways to do that, but I will get to that when we get there as well. But instead, what we have here right now, there are some games on here, actually pre-installed this cartridge that I have here. What are those games? We will find out later. I'm going to keep them as a mystery because, suspense for the video. But anyway, we'll just quickly unbox this thing. Now, this box here really basically opens up your standard Super Famicom cartridge packing. And there you go. Here is the Nintendo Power white cartridge. Now, this is different from the Super Famicom cartridges, which are usually gray. And this one's actually in pretty dang decent condition, considering I know Super Famicom cartridges are very prone to, yellowing and all. And we have here a blank cartridge, so as you can see here, there are 7 blocks. The way this thing stores games, there are basically 7 defined game blocks, and that is back when Nintendo was already using blocks as the super vague storage capacity term back in the Super Famicom days, apparently. But yeah, each game you can write to the system takes up a certain amount of blocks, so a smaller game, like an early Famicom game, Super Famicom game, like Super Mario World, will probably take up less space than one of the later games, and some games even take up the entire cartridge. So technically, this cartridge has 8 blocks of game data on it, but one of the blocks is actually taken up by a little in-game menu that you can use to select games in. So if you had like an 8-block game, apparently that would just, you know, overwrite the menu itself, which I don't know how that would work exactly. If you want to like rewrite it now, I don't know if you can like overwrite the menu and just like not have it anymore. But anyway, I guess that's how it worked back then. But yeah, over here we have the manual itself, and it's a very simple, straightforward game. There are like labels that they provided for you here. Actually, the manual just said that. Wow, this is never used. So as you can see here, there are different stickers of different sizes that you can use to like stick it on the label to denote like how many games you have on it and how much space they take up over on the cartridge. Very cool. It's just cool to see this like unused. Like, I'm imagining there are probably a few cards out there that have labels on them. But yeah, here you can see a quick control of how the menu works, and you can even use the Super Nintendo mouse on it, SNES mouse, which is kind of neat. So overall, the cartridge itself has 32 megabytes total storage size per games, which basically, like, apparently it's 4 megabits per block, which equals 8 blocks total. And it even has like its own storage for SRAM saves, so it has its own save data storage size. You don't have to worry about save data competing with games for storage space or anything like that. But yeah, as you can see here, plain simple menu. You can even like delete games and delete save data from this menu, I assume. Like, there should be a way to like delete games directly from the card itself, but I'm probably not going to try that without a way to rewrite the cartridge. But yeah, it's a very simple, straightforward manual telling you you can, you know, stick labels on the card itself, and that's just a quick little health and safety thing for the AC adapter. But yeah, we're just gonna pop this in real quick, and then we'll see what games are on here. Actually, I do already know, but you know, suspense. And welcome to the menu for the Nintendo Power SF Memory Cassette. So we have 2 games here. For the people who don't know Japanese, this is still kind of a mystery. But hey, actually, if you recognize this first game here, you might know what it is. But before we get into that, let's talk about the menu real quick. So as you can see on the bottom, we have F, 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 and B, 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 B. So the bar on top actually shows how much space we have left for the game. So we only have 2 free blocks left, and basically 6 of which has been taken by both the menu and the games. And if I hold down the X button, it actually flashes how many blocks this takes up. And as you can see down below, this game takes up about 4 blocks of save memory. And down here, this game takes up only 1 block and no save memory, funny enough. And as you can see, there was 1 block that didn't flash. That's reserved for the menu itself. So actually, I thought pressing X actually deleted the game from your cartridge, but apparently this isn't the case. I'm guessing there isn't really a way for you to just delete games from here, because, you know, you paid good money for these games. You probably don't want to accidentally erase them. So yeah, that's good for them. I didn't actually think that one through. But here we go. We're going to start this 4-block game, and for those of you who still can't recognize the kanji in that, I will keep the suspense, because back in video. Yep. This is Harvest Moon, so I don't know if this is like the first one, because I don't remember if there are multiple Harvest Moon games on the Super Famicom or Super Nintendo, but definitely one of the earliest ones. So, interesting. I'm not going to be like doing a full gameplay of each of the games featured here. I just want to see what's on here, but we will see if there's any existing data on this cartridge. First year, the 5th day of summer, I think that's what it says. It's kind of like Stardew Valley on how that works. So I am here with my farm and my dog. I can pick up the dog. Good game. Put him back down. Let's see how good this owner took care of their farm. But yeah, from this point onward, it just plays like any other regular Super Famicom game. Oh, they did a pretty decent job growing these. Can I harvest these? Or no, I can water them. Oh, that's for pressing exchanges tools. I've never played the original Harvest Moon, so I can water these one by one, Harvest Moon style. I don't know. Yeah, I'm guessing these are not ready to be harvested yet. So, other than that, It's a regular. I didn't realize how much like Stardew Valley just takes cues from like the original version of Harvest Moon, because this looks very similar to that. I think the only game in the series that I've really played extensively is the GBA one. So there's that. I've never really seen a lot of footage of the SNES one. But yeah, oh, I jumped over that by dashing and jumping over that. I think there's like stamina in this game, right? If you run too much, you get tired. But yeah, it's Harvest Moon. Watering stuff and dashing over stuff and jumping stuff, and you know, don't water the weeds, pick them and throw them away, Zelda style. But yeah, at this point, if I press reset, I don't know if it actually goes back to the menu or resets the game. It probably resets the game, if I'm honest. Yep, it resets the game. So let's restart this real quick. I love how it starts with a Game Boy jingle out of all things. Just kind of funny. And here is the next game, which only takes up one cart, but it's actually still pretty interesting because... rip Hudson Soft. This is a Japanese exclusive Super Famicom game, the Caravan Shooting Collection by Hudson Soft and Tecmo, apparently. And what this is actually a compilation of games from the Star Soldier series. So we have Star Force 1985, Star Soldier 1986, Hector 1987. I don't know anything about the Star Soldier series. It's kind of funny how it goes Star Force, Star Soldier, there's just Hector. Just Hector in there. But yeah, so you would be thinking, oh, it's kind of like a Super Mario All-Star style collection of like older games, because Star Soldier, you know, came out on the NES. But go to Star Force, select and push start button. Go back to 1985. And it's the Famicom game. Nothing changed. It's the Famicom game. Yeah, so I didn't really know that if there were like yeah, this is my first time actually seeing a straight NES Famicom port on running on the Super Famicom, Super NES. I keep having to interchange like Famicom and NES just in order to not rile anybody up, but yeah, it is quite literally just, you know, Famicom compilation. This might, you know, that explains why this only takes up like one block on the cartridge itself. I don't know if you can go back by doing this, but we can just reset and look at the other games. Go back to 1986. Is that an order? Anyway, this is Star Soldier. I actually don't know if any of these were released on NSO. This sounds vaguely familiar. I think it might be released on NSO. Like, I haven't really checked that out to make sure, but it might be. I'll put a thing on the screen right now. Let's see if I was right or wrong. Yeah, these are all funny top-down shooters. Oh, I thought that was a wall you can't move past, but yes. But yeah, these are all basically the same. You use Y and B instead of A and B to Y and B. Then so yeah. So much more ergonomic, you know, controls, I guess, compared to the NES. But yeah, that's Star Soldier. And last but not least, let's check out Hector 87. Hector 87. What happened to the first 86 Hectors then? Normal 5 minutes and title. History 1. It's not even like stage 1. It's like History 1. It's like, I'm guessing this is sort of like a game based. Is it not? It's not based on real history, is it? It's History 1. This is based on real life events. Funny gates, spitting fire, and oh, I actually do have a health bar, and I don't die in one hit. Oh god. Wow, first level bullet layout. I'm also playing this through the viewfinder, so there's not much lag, but it's just kind of funny. Anyway, yeah, just free Famicom games. Very straightforward. You can probably look up more about these games if you do wish, but yeah, that's about it. I did notice that there's like a stereo option on the bottom right. Like, how do you change that? Mono and stereo. I mean, I am pretty sure the Famicom was mono, not stereo, so I don't know what changing the sound options is supposed to achieve, because, I mean, sure, mono and stereo for Famicom games, I mean, yeah. But anyway, that is Caravan Shooting Collection. It is definitely a Famicom compilation. It's just kind of weird seeing both of these in one cartridge, but yeah, that's about it. And yeah, that is it for the Nintendo Power SF Memory cassette. Now, it probably would have been technically more valuable if it had some more big-name SNES games installed on that, like, you know, a few Mario games and maybe some of the big names. I forgot if Zelda was available for it or anything, but yeah, it's just kind of cool to see a second-hand cart with some really wild grab-bag games in there, just Harvest Moon and Famicom shooters. Sure, why not? It's actually kind of interesting that way. Now, you might be wondering if there is a way, since the kiosks are all gone or super expensive, you want to go out and literally buy one of them. But yeah, other than that, is there a way to rewrite these in the modern day? And yes, but currently I do not have a method to do so right now. Now, you might be thinking, you have a retro. Can you use a retro to rewrite a Super Famicom Nintendo Power cassette? No, because this game, it doesn't have super effects or any other enhancement chips, but it definitely does use like additional ports, as you can see from the cartridge port there. And the retro only really does Super Famicom carts without any extra enhancement chips or anything like that. Now, I am in the process of actually getting a new card reader, the SNES card reader, which has like the option for you to dump games from that use enhancement chips. So that claims to be able to rewrite this Nintendo Power cartridge. So once I get my hands on that, I actually might be able to make an extra video where I just try to write new games onto this and see if it works. But until then, this is just a little quick look at this quick little interesting cartridge, and maybe sometime in the future when I get the card reader, figure out how to write games onto it, and know more about this thing, I can probably write up a full script and make a things of interest video on it. That's not a promise, but you know, that's something I could technically do. But yeah, for now, I hope you enjoyed this little look at this obscurity, and I will see you guys in the next video. So stay safe and take care. And this definitely does have enhancement chips. Definitely not. I really can't speak unscripted today. I'm sorry about that.